Welcome to the Lawless Astrology channel. My name is Dabney and I'm an evolutionary astrologer. Today we're going to be talking about the new moon in Scorpio. We're going to be talking about this upcoming week, which is incredibly intense. It's going to be full of shocking information, and it is going to be something that is meant to break us out of the chains that bind us. So, if that's content you're interested in, I really do hope you stick around. If you're not familiar with my channel, what we do is we look at the cosmos and the planetary energy and we bring it down here and we try to ground it and make sense of it so we can individually live a more peace-filled and conscious life. So that's what we do here. And this is a pretty big week. So I want to just dive right into it. One of the first things that I want to say is that from a more mundane level, and so I'm going to be talking a little bit about the mundane and the politics in our life, because I'm sorry, but the politics is our life right now. It is impacting everything. It is pop culture. It kind of infuses everything. This new moon is all about the Epstein files from the collective standpoint. So if you want a little bit deeper dive and you've not seen my video with Frederick Woodruff that I just did, please check that out. I'll link it below. We talk, it's a fun conversation. This is going to be a little bit more of a serious conversation. That's a little bit more of a gloating, funny conversation because Frederick's very funny. And I'm also going to be doing, I think, a live, or we'll have another video with Celeste Brooks coming up. So we're going to talk more about that stuff. So what I kind of want to talk about a little bit more in this video is kind of more personal. However, I couldn't help, as you know, or many of you know, I have to tell everybody I did pass my astronomy exam. I actually think I got an A. So yay, thank you for everybody who sent me good juju and who put, an email out to me or a comment. Thank you. And that does remind me that I love our community. I am so grateful. I love politics. I love astrology. Astrology is my heart. Politics is just something that I've always, I get worked up about because I have a ninth house Pluto. So it's really fun. I just thought about that this morning, that it's really fun to have people who are like-minded, that I'm grateful to have this community where I can speak freely about the things that interest me and you respond to it. Like, that's really means a lot to me. So all the engagement that I get, that's why I always try to respond to every comment I get. I don't know if eventually I'll be able to do that, but in this moment, I'm just enjoying getting to know all of you and having this community. So that's just a long way of saying thank you, and thank you for sharing my videos, because when more people see them, that helps. When you comment and boost it with a hype, all that stuff matters to me. So thank you. Okay. So many of you may have seen my recent video with James Burgess. He's somebody I'm taking a class with right now on the Sabian symbols. And so he's a Sufi master and an astrologer, and he has a book that you can get, a Sacred Seven Mastery. It's about the Sabian symbols. So if you don't know what the Sabian symbols are, a woman named Elsie Wheeler channeled these images for each of the zodiacs, the 360 zodiac signs, degrees, not signs, 360 degrees of the zodiac. She channeled an image for each one of them. And then Dane Rudyard, and subsequently other people like James Burgess have kind of written commentary on those channeled visions. Okay, we've got a big new moon in Scorpio on the 19th. Very powerful. We've got 4 planets in Scorpio. Venus is in Scorpio, and the sun and the moon and Mercury are all at 28 degrees Scorpio. So you would read the 29th degree. You always bump it up for the Sabian symbols. But listen to this degree. What was channeled for the 29th degree, which is the 28th degree, because it's 28 and certain minutes, so you round up. Okay. Indian woman pleading to the chief for her children. We are both Soul and ego, an image of the soul as mother and ego as unruly sons, is a helpful insight. The wildness of ego has an unsettling effect upon the community and will be checked for the sake of collective harmony. The chief represents the power of social censure. The mother's intercession to the chief on her children's behalf equates to soul activity, moderating ego-centered behaviors. Prayer is such a process, the intercession of the soul's love to moderate unbridled passions. We must balance what we want with what society wants and trust this process. Intense emotional focus. When our instincts get the better of us, we must find a way to center in peace. So really, this is prayer as a force that brings peace. And I just couldn't get over the fact that the channeled image was an Indian woman pleading to chief for her children. So, what am I talking about? What is all that? I think there's a pretty direct correlation with the fact that things have gotten out of control. So in a collective sense, things have gotten out of control. There is the ego, the wild, unbridled ego has gone too far. And Jupiter has just gone retrograde in Cancer. So Jupiter is also bringing some energy in here this week to say it's time for the mother, the great mother, to step in and course correct and to plead and to pray for her children to get back to a peaceful path. So I think that was kind of interesting. The image that came to me, and this is collective and personal, is, we have to look at the whole sky. And so not only do we have this, this big Scorpio, a lot of planets in Scorpio, a new moon is a new beginning, a new moon plants seeds. We can't see everything yet. Okay. Scorpio has everything to do with unearthing secrets and bringing things up from the bowels of destruction. It's the phoenix. It's bringing things up so a light can shine on it. So there's wisdom to be had. So a Scorpio New Moon, let's just do the straight reading first, and then we're going to go into kind of my vision here. The straight reading of a Scorpio New Moon has to do with sexuality, secrets, money. It has to do with death, mortality. So it's all the things that sometimes make us feel very uncomfortable. Scorpio rules that domain. Okay, so the 8th house, Pluto, Scorpio, they're all different. They have different flavors, but Scorpionic energy, Scorpio people are intense. They really are detectives. They are psychotherapists. They are people that are willing to go down deep to find the treasure that is within. And it might be buried in a lot of gunk and secrets. So a lot of times the treasure, though, it takes a long time to unearth. What's interesting about this new moon is it is opposed to Uranus. And Uranus is a lightning strike. Uranus is shocks that come out of nowhere. So, this is a little bit of like that overnight success. Like all of a sudden, the dam breaks. It doesn't have to be success. It's just like something happened. It was a long time coming. The dam had been being eroded for quite some time. The problem was there, or the treasure was there. And just one thing comes and it breaks in an instant. So when the dam floods, it's not because it just happens. It's the Uranian push, the last little push that everything comes out. But it was there all along. It just needed to be unearthed and discovered. But it's a crisis point when we have all this Scorpio opposing a Uranus. And part of this, Scorpio has to do with looking within and taking responsibility. Scorpio needs to see its own shadow in order for it to experience the light. And that's true for all of us. We all have to do our own shadow work. And if you don't know what I mean by shadow work, it means owning parts of ourselves that we don't like. It's owning parts of ourselves and admitting where we were wrong or things we can't see. Like the shadow is, it's dark. It's like we can't see it. It's hidden from us in some ways, right? So, you may, look in a mirror and see yourself, but you're casting a reflection on the ground. That's your shadow, right? And the shadow work is like what's beneath what you see. So it's unconscious material that needs to be made conscious. It's things we don't want to look at in ourselves. I mean, in my 20s, I did a lot of shadow work. Because if you're just all about love and light, this is how like these pastors, can live, like get up there every single day and like preach, gospel and love and light. And then you find out they have like this twisted secret double life, It's because they over-index on the love and light to compensate for the fact that they can't really deal with the dark secrets that they have. And so this doesn't mean that everybody has like some horrible, deep, dark secrets, but we all have parts of ourselves that we really don't like, and would rather they not be there. And this, it's kind of about really kind of embracing the parts of ourselves that we think are unlovable. So bear with me a second. So we also have Pluto that's recently gone direct in Aquarius. And this got me thinking, and there's about the novel Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. That was written when I think Pluto was in Pisces, but she was born when Pluto was in Aquarius. And there's something about this Frankenstein thing that it's coming back around. Like I've heard it mentioned in other places that, whether it's AI or whether it's QAnon and MAGA, or whatever it is in our own lives. In my own life, I mean, I can share with you, sometimes we make monsters. So there's a new Frankenstein movie on Netflix that I just watched last night. I specifically watched it because I kind of wanted to tune in and see if I could see some parallels to what's going on with this new moon. And I did. It's a lot about abuse and shame and violence and denying our own culpability. It's a lot about repeating patterns, like repeating the abuse that we suffer. And it's also about creating a monster and not being able to really look and heal and do our own work. And so we create this monster that's then going to kind of come back and bite us. And so I think it's really fascinating to watch Marjorie Taylor Greene and Dummy going at it and turning up. It's like he created this monster, right? And these Epstein files, it's all a monster of their own creation. And some of them, a vast majority of them, still are denying it, but fewer and fewer. There is kind of this being confronted with our own shadow, with things that we projected out onto other people. So again, I want to make this more personal, because I do have some political and mundane videos out there that you can check out. So let's talk about it on a personal level. Clearly, we're not building humans in a scientific lab. However, where can you look in your own life and see that you've sort of created a monster by being unwilling to look at the truth? Now, I'm going to give you an example in my own life. I How deep do I want to go here? I have a little regret, let's put it that way, for the way that I have spent a lifetime coming to people's rescue. That was a way that I got self-esteem, and I was able to feel good about myself. But there's a darker side to that. When you come to someone's rescue all the time, they don't do their own work. So this is part of that shadow, is like not being able to allow others to fail or live their own lives. For me, was part of my shadow work that I had to deal with, that I'm actually no better than any other human in this world. I'm kind of more responsible for myself than anyone else. And if I put more energy on rescuing myself than other people, maybe things would have gone better. Okay. I'm just trying to give a concrete example in my own life of like something I'm reflecting on. So, you may have a completely different experience. I know you have a completely different experience, but that's an example of like where you create problems for yourself, or something's gone wrong because it was really too hard to look at your unconscious behaviors and how it's kind of screwed you over in some ways, right? So whether it's like, avoiding paying bills and getting into debt, or, there's so many different examples where it just kind of becomes like a monster that you can't control anymore. And then you what do? This new moon, with the opposition from Uranus and the Mercury retrograde, information is going to come out. You're going to learn things about this monster you've created in your own life, which is basically like the scorpionic unearthing of your own unconscious and the motivations. And there's sort of like an opportunity to break the chains, to break free from those old patterns. I hope I'm making sense. Okay, I pulled some cards. This was the card and I love the image. So I pulled the Rebel. Okay, look at the chains being broken. All right, that's the Uranus opposing the Scorpio. Truth is coming to light. You have to take responsibility and break free from the prison that you've created for yourself. People are very much afraid of those who know themselves. They have a certain power, a certain aura, and a certain magnetism, a charisma that can take out alive young people from the traditional imprisonment. The enlightened man cannot be enslaved. That is the difficulty. He cannot be imprisoned. Every genius who has known something of the inner is bound to be a little difficult to be absorbed. He's an upsetting force. The masses don't want to be disturbed, even though they may be in misery. They are in misery, but they're accustomed to this misery. And anybody who is not miserable looks like a stranger. The enlightened man is the greatest stranger in the world. He does not seem to belong to anybody. No organization confines him, no community, no society, no nation. The Rebel challenges us to be courageous enough to take responsibility for who we are and live our truth. That really sums up this new moon to me. It can be painful, it can be shocking, it can be a dam bursting, but the erosion's already there. Things are already crumbling beneath the surface. It's just now being washed away. And it's being washed away so you can break free from your own imprisonment. It's about truth. It is about radical honesty. It is about self-empowerment through the truth. Like, that saying, the truth will set you free. So I picked another card. Ripeness. And what this card is about is really that When this card appears in a reading, it indicates that we're ready to share our inner riches. All you need to do is relax right where you are and be willing for it to happen. Sharing of yourself, this expression of creativity, can come in many ways. In your work, your relationships, your everyday life. Ripeness means it's time. It's just in right timing. So I'm really shocked and like amazed and think it's so cool, all the synchronicity of the timing of everything that's happening and the secrets that are coming out. And now it's time for us to do our own work. You know, like it's time for us, like it's just like the fruit's ready to fall. So it's not just in the collective. As I always say, you have to do your own work as well. So the more you can do your own work, and what do I mean by do your own work? You know, recognize, do that shadow work, like understand like the parts of yourself that you may have denied. Like I said, in my case, I always want to be the hero. I'm not always the hero. Sometimes I have to take care of myself. And that may come at a point where other people have to take responsibility for themselves. So, you know, maybe the pastor wouldn't have gotten into being a pastor if he could be honest with himself that he preferred the company of gentlemen. You know, but he hates that part of himself. So he buries it really deeply, and then it comes out in kind of more twisted, unhappy ways. You know, the double life kind of thing. So there's a lot of shadow work that goes on. There's a lot of shadow in people, a lot of unconscious work. And this whole, like, I talked about this is just fascinating to me, the projection and denial of this kind of like massive cover up with the Epstein thing. Like how it impacts people on both sides of the aisle, all around the world. It's people that were in tremendous positions of power. But you read some of these emails, these people are illiterate. Like, and they're just like kind of like have the emotional maturity of middle schoolers. It's really strange. Like, how did these people become so wealthy and powerful and, you know, imbued with people projecting onto them greatness? Like, and that's another thing. Sometimes we deny our greatness. So, and we keep ourselves small or hidden when actually like we're fantastic. And so that could be part of the shackles coming off right now. The last card I picked, and I've been picking this card a lot, was Harmony, 10 of Cups. And I mean, I've been picking this card a lot. It's the happily ever after card. Like, it's going to be okay. So there's something about this where it's like, stuff's going to come to the surface. You may see parts of yourself you don't like. I want you to not look away. I want you to just take a deep breath, go for a walk, and find a way to embrace that part of yourself and know that change is coming. That's part of the shocks with the Uranus. Like, things are going to just come out into the open. And when they do, this is the beginning. Also, because it's a new moon. So like everything isn't fully exposed yet, but you're gonna start to understand in a new way, something you didn't understand before. And that's gonna be the seeds for tremendous change and opportunity in the coming months. Yeah. Okay, that is my new moon video. It's going to be a pretty intense week in the news. It's going to be potentially shocking. I have a friend, you know, I work in PR. I have a friend who also works in PR. Her husband works in PR. And he said that he actually is doing crisis communication for one of the people who is in one of the emails, or a couple of emails or something. Not that that person did anything salacious, but still, it's a person of prominence and nobody wants to be associated with this kind of thing. And this person is in that sort of upper echelons, and they said like, it's everybody. It is everybody. It's like both sides of the aisle, and it could like potentially collapse our government. Think about that. Like, it's that deep. And I'm not somebody that's into conspiracy theories. So that was the thing that I talk about on Frederick's thing, is that I have to look at myself where I was like, oh, that's just stupid. That didn't happen. Blah, 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 And like, actually, there was some truth in it. It's not the way it was presented, but other people's projecting like created this monster. It's created this Frankenstein that is now coming back to get them. And my arrogance to think like there's no truth in that when there was. So it all affects everybody. We're all in this mess together. And the universe is trying to show us that. So, okay, that's my video. I hope everybody's doing well. Hang in there. This is a really great opportunity. Think of it as such, that this is an opportunity to break those chains, break free, take responsibility, look at your secrets honestly, look at where you've denied your own lovability for things that you have been told were not lovable. That's all part of Scorpio, is what is your true passion? Unleash your passion. And right now, I think maybe all of our passion should be having compassion and empathy for the victims of what's happening. I did this kind of fun video with Frederick, but the reality is this is tragic. This is really messed up what happened to these girls, young women. Here's time for one more quick story. One of these right-wing podcasters, I won't mention her name, came out and said, well, it's not like these girls were 8 years old, it's still awful what happened to them, but they were like 15. And so that's not really that bad, right? And I remember, I have so many nasty stories, like so many other Gen X women who, came of age in the 90s and early 2000s. And this is one story. I just graduated from college and I was working a temp job. And I really wanted to have a real big girl job. I didn't want to just be a temp. And so I was interviewing. I was doing a phone interview and I was thinking of moving to California. I lived in Austin, Texas at the time. And I did a phone interview with someone who was looking for a photographer's assistant. And I always loved photography and I was kind of lost. I was literally 21 years old or whatever, 22. And I just, so there it is. Like I'm like 21 or 22. And it turned out like this guy was a big pervert. And during the interview, he, it started out normally enough. And then he started asking me all these nasty questions. And then when it became obvious that I like wasn't interested in whatever kind of weird, pervert job he was trying to solicit me for, he hung up the phone. And I just remember like having this like deer frozen in the headlights kind of feeling. This is like a mini little stupid story. But I'm 20 something. Like the innocence of these girls is like anybody who projects onto these girls that they wanted this in some way or that they were it was consensual is bullshit. They were just surviving. There's some new information that just came out about the 17-year-old girl that alleged issues with Matt Gaetz. She was saving up for braces. Okay? Like, we have to recognize what these girls are, and these girls are victims. These girls are people that were hurt. If you read any of the passages from or her book, Virginia Giuffre, like she was really hurt by very powerful men and she had no way out. And then when she fought back, she said that even the fighting back and the complicitness of the media and law enforcement and all this was even worse than what had happened to her. And she'd been, physically abused by some of these men, like very violently. So think about that at this time, that this really couldn't be an opportunity for justice for people that have been hurt. And also think about what they're going through having these things come to light again. So I just wanted to kind of mention that, that, we can find some hope and maybe make light of the fact that some of these people may actually finally feel responsible for the impact that they've had, you know, their choices. And it's still it's you know, a darkness that we as a country, as a world, need, you know, because it's not unique just to our country. This affects lots of different countries. Yeah, like this impacted a lot of women, and how many people were complicit, and how many times do we look the other way when we know something bad is happening? So, okay. Now I got all heavy and dark. Sorry. Just wanted to, you know, kind of really make sure that as we're thinking about this from a justice standpoint, that we also think about it from the standpoint of like actual trauma and pain. And that's scorpionic too. Like actually understanding and feeling the pain and suffering of others. And that's part of what's being revealed right now. So, there's a reason and a season for it all. The universe is conspiring to help you, all of us. And this timing is pretty insane. So until next time, I will have a video coming out soon with Celeste, which will be fun too. So we will of course lighten it up, but know that underneath it all, there is a genuine sadness for the fact that these things have even occurred and continue to occur. So, okay. Bye, stargazers.